Choosing the right supplier can make or break a sports lighting project. Get it right, and you've got a facility that performs for decades. Get it wrong, and you're looking at glare complaints, energy bills that never quit, and equipment that fails before its time. So, how do you actually compare suppliers and know who to trust with a project this big? Today, I'm sitting down with Neil Peterson, CEO of LED Lighting Supply, to find out. I'll be approaching this the way any project planner would, comparing options, asking the hard questions, and figuring out what really separates one supplier from the next. We'll get into what LED Lighting Supply actually offers, where they specialize, how they handle everything from design to delivery, and what a planner should be looking for before signing off on a quote. Let's get into it. Hi, Neil. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, great to have you. So, to kick things off, can you, in a couple of words, explain who you are and what you do at LED Lighting Supply?
Sure. I'm actually the lead lighting specialist here at LED Lighting Supply. I oversee all of our people that are customer facing. In at LED Lighting Supply, we provide a consultative process to help sports customers figure out what they need, what level of light they need, all the aspects of figuring out to get them the most uniform, best light for their application. And that's really what we do. We deal with both customers with immediate requirements and customers that may have a project they're planning for a couple years down the road, whichever. And that's really what our specialty is. And we supply the product, the lighting plan, the design. We don't do the installation. Local contractors, schools with their own electricians do that, but we provide that support to make sure the project gets done right, and then support them afterwards.
Right. How would you describe your business model and the distribution model compared to a traditional distribution model in the industry?
Well, we're a lot more than distributor. We actually manufacture product also, but in general, our real strategy is to work with the customers to understand their application, what their needs are, what their permitting considerations are. Like, is there housing around the field? Do we need to be worried about, glare and light trespass? Pole heights, how many poles they want, level of play they're doing, because we'll usually recommend levels of light for that. But the key is to make sure that the light level is very uniform, both in the infield and outfield, for example, in a baseball field or in a football field. Uniformity is the main driver. It really isn't the level of light, it's how uniform it is, because if you have a uniform field with one level of light, it will always look perfect.
Right.
And then we really match that up. And we then supply products. So the advantage for us is we stock, in most cases, the product. So we're able to ship within a couple of days. We then support the customer through the process of the installation and after. So, full service. Our most exciting thing is when we get the pictures or the drone pictures once a project's completed. So that's
Right.
basically what we do.
Okay. And is the lighting tech, is it your own technology, or is it built by your own factories, or how does that work? Like,
Yeah. So, well, again, LED lights all use the basic same drivers, the same LED chips, and there are a lot you can select. So, our products are made with industry standard parts. They all come with a 5-year warranty. The key for our products is the optics we use, because optics really allow you to manage the light, where it goes, how much of it. And we use different optics really depending on the mounting height. Is there a trespass concern? And all sorts of things. The additional thing we've done over the last period of time is all of our sports lights come marine grade level C4. And that's because we're really in extreme environments. You're out in the snow, the rain, thunder, lightning. And so the key is to make sure that the fixtures are going to last. And our fixtures are designed to do that. They're all IP66. And so we really strive to design a product that is going to last, that 10, 12 years from now can continue to be running for a field. And the other thing we do too is we've really moved to the wattage changing strategy. So our standard fixtures in many cases will be wattage selectable, so that sometimes we have customers that say, hey, I'd like a little more light, or I'd like a little less light, and the fixture being selectable allows them to do that. So
right.
that's just one of the considerations, but those are some of the things we do.
Okay. And do you also provide facilities and project planners with the lighting infrastructure, structural components, or is it only the lighting fixtures?
No, so we do lighting fixtures, all the mounting hardware required. We also do poles. So we do both wood poles up to 70 feet, and we do stadium steel poles also up to 70 feet, really depending. So it really gets back to what does the customer need? If they had wood poles there before and it was from 50 years ago, a lot of times they're upgrading those poles. There is a price difference between wood and steel. So a lot of times it depends on what their budget is and what they're thinking about. But we do support the poles. What we don't supply is the wiring and the panels. The contractor does that. That's the part of
Right.
the business where they come in and spec out the distances and how much wire they need. And the one thing we do, though, highly recommend in an installation that we've learned over the years is that they need to make sure the panel has adequate surge protection in it. These fields are outdoor. You can, Midwest, you can get hit by lightning. Lightning can cause the fixtures to go out if there's not surge on the panel. So we highly recommend that. And if it's a existing installation that we're upgrading, we'll offer the surge to them if the contractor doesn't supply it, but we'll include that as part of our quote. Surge, we feel, is a very important part of the overall design. All of our fixtures come with surge in them also, but those are really to protect the facility from lightning, which could
Right.
happen in other things. So
Right.
those are the things we do. We don't do the nuts and bolts though of the
Yeah.
wiring, and the installer does that.
Right. So you do the manufacturing, the distribution. How do you then like on site? How do you ensure the quality of your lighting systems?
Sure.
How does that work? The quality
We
assurance
do
in
that
your
through doing a lighting plan for the facility, and
right.
that's part of as our upfront consultative process. We go through them of understanding first of all what's the address. We go to it on Google Maps. We see it. It's an existing installation. They have a drawing. We take that, but then we actually do a lighting plan to their specifications: pole heights, number of poles, number of fixtures they have now. They want to do a 1-for-1 installation if it's new. And we come up and we supply a lighting plan to them, which we provide. Usually takes us 1 to 2 days to do that from when we start. We then the next day we meet with them, we review that lighting plan to make sure it meets their requirements. Sometimes we go and make changes, or sometimes they take that to their board, or whoever the decision makers are, and then they come back with questions, and we work through that process to make sure we fine tune it to really meet their requirements. I mean, we've done enough of these that for like a little league baseball field, you want 50-foot candles in the infield and 30-foot candles in the outfield. You want it uniform. Uniform means you don't have high and low spots, that your max to min ratio is close enough. And that's really how you get a uniform field. And you worry about the corners, you worry about the backstop, just as then like with a soccer and football field, you have the same worries to make sure that the light is pretty uniform across the field.
Right. Okay.
Uniformity is the most important thing
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
sports applications.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's say that I was a project planner somewhere in, let's say in Midwest, and I have the option to call a local electrical wholesaler or even like a traditional high-end stadium lighting or sports fit lighting brand. What would be the reason for me to choose you instead?
Sure. The local distributor, the problem is they're gonna sell you what they offer. You're
Hmm.
probably not gonna get the full lighting plan, or they're gonna go down there, they're a rep and they're gonna have someone down the line somewhere do a lighting plan without really any context. They're interpreting what you need and they're not adding that level of one-to-one consultation. You do have those high-end people though that, they come in, they're gonna rip your poles out, they're gonna do everything, they're going to nuts and bolts. But what we've found is a lot of the schools don't have the budget to do that. Those fields can be, of $250,000 to $500,000 to do, big complexes. And a lot of many cases, those are out of the budgets of a lot of people. And they have the installation resources either on site or available to them that do other work for them. And and so those are really the people where we best fit. We're not going to compete with that company that does the full turnkey installation, has a great product, will provide great light. We provide it when they really want a cost effective, high performance solution where they're going to manage the installation
Right.
with our support.
So what would you call your kind of like the main customer segment when it comes to the competition level or the
Sure.
size of the stadium
Our
or
sweet
something
spot,
like
so
that?
we do all levels. We've done, college level ball, we've done semi-pro. Our sweet spot is that recreational up to high school. That's where
Hmm.
we do the most.
Right.
Where, they've 60-foot poles, maybe a little shorter, 40-foot poles, softball, really where they have something there now and they're trying to upgrade it, something new, or they want to do a new field, a local city and town that has the electrical contractors on staff, or they work with electrical contractors to do the work. but that's really where our sweet spot is, where we do the most of our lighting projects.
Okay, and you also do indoor lighting projects, right? For gymnasiums
We
and
do. We're
gyms and yeah,
pickleball, we do a lot of pickleball projects, tennis projects. We can do uplight or the downlight, and so again, just another sweet spot for us. Pickleball's been the last couple of years. It's really exploded. Where there are a lot
yeah,
of those national chains that we do work with regularly on their projects, and they're a part of their standard.
right. And you cover the whole country, right?
We
Or
cover the whole country, and we
yeah,
actually we do a lot of Caribbean hotel tennis and
okay,
pickleball outdoor courts also, just because they don't have that level of expertise there, but they are able to do the installation. So
right. Okay, so let's talk about the a little bit about the compliance and the glare control and things like that. So
sure,
there's a lot of sports fields have intense compliance rules around glare control and player safety and light spill and so on. So how does your upfront engineering and the lighting design, for example, help the project owner guarantee that the field or court is
sure,
properly lighted or
sure.
illuminated?
So we probably in sports field we do thousands of lighting plans a year, and as you said, it player safety is the most important thing. Okay, and the parents there at the games. What we do is that we really take a design approach that focuses on one is what the requirements are. What are the local requirements for off field lighting? Is there housing around it? Do we need to worry about that? But we really do a directional light strategy. We found a lot of vendors do basically they flood the field. Flooding the field causes a lot of light pollution. We worry about that. Our fixtures all have the glare shields available for them. Many of them ship with it automatically, but our optics are what control where the light goes. And as far as our layouts, we're very diligent at making sure that we're aware of what the light impact is when we're directionally doing light. So our lighting plans represent that, and that's really where we focus. So our plan will identify the type of glare, how much off light they're getting, so they can determine does it meet the requirement. But usually, again, we ask that up front. What are the local permitting requirements? So we make our plan match that. And the other thing too, again, other sports we do a lot of track lighting. Well, you never have the track shining in the direction they're running from. So we just take that design approach to apply it to our sports fields. Like in baseball, you don't want to light in the outfield, light in the infield up because
Right,
all that's going to do is create glare problems. So again, it's just
right.
the techniques you use and understanding of what the customer's requirements are. You also find in baseball, the higher you can put the pole, the better.
Yeah,
Where you more run into glare reductions is, you got a high school field and their poles are 40 feet high. And,
right,
so a lot of times we'll deal with, can you upgrade your poles? Can you go to 50, 60 feet? Because then it's more directional light than a flooding situation. So again, it
right,
all gets back to what the customer needs in their environment and then
right.
making sure we recommend the right approach.
Okay. Can you share any real world examples of customers who successfully installed your lighting
Sure.
systems in their baseball
Well,
field or
yeah,
whatever
I
it is?
mean, we're national, but we do have a couple, local. I mean, we do in North Attleboro, the city of North Attleboro in Massachusetts has probably done 6 or 7 fields over the last couple of years. They keep coming back. We started with one big one, and we actually had a situation where they weren't happy with the light, and it was really just because it was 3 fields in one big area, but they had no poles in the middle.
Hmm,
So we worked with them. They added a couple of lights. They made some changes. We redid the design, and it got them the light they wanted, and they've been doing new fields ever since. And again, they're one of those situations. They have a local installation team that they work with. They do their own pole installation. They work with the city to get the poles that they need, and we make recommendations. We've moved them to many of our newer fixtures that have actually gotten better with light. Over the years, we continue to improve our optics and and the fixtures we provide. So that's one good example. We work with a lot of the pickleball people. Pickleball Kingdom is one of our biggest pickleball customers. They come to us. We do a design for every one of their new installations. And what's unique with the pickleball is what you find. They usually go into old warehouses or
yeah,
malls where you're dealing with a lot of environmental problems, AC units hanging down from the ceiling. So when you
right.
do you got to consider that. You know, dividers in between course, so you're not able to share light with courts necessarily, which you do
Mm,
in many cases. So again, dealing with those and giving them, the color. We actually recommend the color of the paint on the walls,
mm.
or we deal with all the trade offs. So again, a lot of repeat customers though, and two of the ones I had mentioned,
So it's like a
and you can see
holistic,
them on our
almost like
website
a,
too. We have a
so
lot
it's
of sample pick.
almost like a holistic approach to the design,
Yes,
depending on the conditions
yeah,
and the,
the pickleball one's crazy, and sometimes we only have a 17-foot mounting height.
yeah,
Your best pickleball mounting height is 24 feet, and if you want uplight, you need another 10 to 12 feet above that, so that you have room for the light to disperse and shine down. But most pickleballs are using traditional downlight, and the lights are down the sides of the courts.
right. Okay. So what about the after sales support? Who handles that if, for example, let's say a driver fails or a fixture goes
Sure.
dark mid-season?
Yeah, well, first of all, our lighting specialists we have a follow-up process. Once the lights are delivered, we're following up. When the installation's starting, we follow up, and we follow up after just to make sure everything worked as they expected. And if they need some assistance at that point, we do it. But yeah, 2, 3 years down the road, customer comes, they turn their power on in the spring, and a light's not working properly. They do contact us. Usually they contact their lighting specialist, but we have a customer support team that can also be communicated directly. A ticket is created. Customers contacted same or within 24 hours. We work with the customer. We immediately follow up to understand what's going on, what's the problem. A lot of times we want to make sure there's not a root cause for the problem and it's not just a one-off. I mentioned surge before.
Yeah,
Usually if a driver fails in a short period of time, in many cases it is they had some surge event happen. So we make sure they have proper surge, and we get them a driver and it's easily replaceable. If for some reason it's a full fixture failure, we will replace that also during the warranty period. And because we do stock all the product here, but we have a group that does that, and we get the customer back up to speed as quickly as possible.
right. And how long is the warranty period for the products?
5 years on the
5 years.
product. But I think what you'll find is these products will last 10, 15 years or more.
Yeah,
And the warranty, but again, what you'll usually find if there is a failure, it's going to be the driver.
right.
And these are all commercially available drivers. So we
Yeah.
can either supply or route the customer where there's a driver, 10 years down the road.
Uh, Can you walk me through what happens after a project owner first reaches out? The first
Sure.
contact all the way until lighting is installed and everything's signed and sealed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem.
In a
So
nutshell.
again, we do get the lead, and your guys' service is great. We really like the what we call them SQLs that come through your guys' service to us, and so when we get that, we're immediately calling if there's a phone number. Our lighting specialist is calling, getting the person on the phone. If not, we use email, and then we have a follow up process we go through to eventually get them on the phone, because getting the information in email is one thing, but confirming it and having a dialogue with the customer, we find is so important to really understand the full requirements. But we want to know where the field is, what the address is, so we can go see it. We query them. Is it is it an upgrade? Is it a new installation? What's their local permitting requirement? We go through a full question process with them, and sometimes we actually do a Google Meet if it's on the phone, where we see and meet so they can see us, because this is a big investment for these people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a long-term lighting solution for them that either their organization or their town is going to be proud of for a long time. It's where their citizens come and meet and watch town sports events. So what happens is, once we've gathered the information we need on their environment, we confirm it back to them, and we then go and schedule the lighting plan with our lighting engineers. And usually it takes 1 to 2 days to produce this lighting plan. We then internally review that before we provide it back to the customer. We may have some additional questions. We have a review group that reviews the bigger ones, because a lot of times, are the corner light levels right? Is behind the backstop right? Because you don't want the light on the backstop to be lower than the field, because the ball can get lost. And so we just go through that internal process. Then when that's done, we actually provide the customer the lighting plan with the quote for the equipment that we're recommending. We then usually follow up the next day with the customer to review the lighting plan, get their comments. A lot of people don't know what a lighting plan is. So we walk them through it so they fully understand what all the information is, what it's telling them. We provide pictures as far as here's a similar installation looks like with that level of light for you so they can get a general idea for it. And then a lot of things can go depending on what the customer, where they are in their process. Sometimes we're talking about a project that's out a year or two. Sometimes
Yeah.
we're talking about a project that they want to start right away or in a couple of months. In that case, we determine what do they need to get their own internal approval. What else can we give them? We then just follow up and work with them in
Do you,
that
do you,
process.
do you help them with permitting and stuff like that, or
We
is
don't
that
help. Usually the permitting is done by the installer, but where we do help them, all our fixtures are rebate eligible.
hmm,
So if the local utility does have rebates, we'll provide them all the data and
right,
information or where they need to go do it. A lot of times the installer does that, but we can give them that installation. A lot of cities and towns, the electric departments do give rebates, and a lot of times we want to make sure they go check that out because again, that helps offset their costs. So
right,
but no, we
okay,
don't do the permitting, but we will assist in it. A lot of times they need technical information about the products and the poles and all that, and we supply that as required.
right, okay. And then yeah, once everything's when we're ready to move forward after permitting, funding, and all that stuff is done,
Yep.
then before the construction, the installation starts, is there some step before that, or then you
Well,
go
yeah, no,
into
there is. Well, I mean, first of all, there is a lot of times again, we stock most of our projects ship 90% of them ship within a week, depending on what modifications we need to make to the fixtures for the optics.
right,
We work with them, just for delivery, we coordinate that. Then we do follow up prior and after the install where there are questions. Sometimes customers want more details about the pointing of the fixtures. A lot of times,
right,
you got an installer will actually convert the lighting plan to multiple pages with detailed blown up view of, each fixture on a specific pole, where it needs to point in the angle of those fixtures just to help them, like I usually need my glasses to read one of those, so we blow that up for them, and then we do in many cases we want their pictures, their drone videos of the field afterwards because we take a lot of pride in the end result that the customers are getting, and then we do post those on our website, which customers can go see all the projects we've done on our website.
yeah, I've checked your website as well. It's pretty comprehensive when it comes to the
Yes.
completed projects and case studies, so it's a good
Yeah.
resource.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But again, that our customer is that customer that's looking for a cost-effective, high-performance option where they can rely on the light. And again, our focus is uniformity, as I mentioned. Even with limiting capabilities, like their poles aren't necessarily that tall, we still can make it work. But we'll also, in many cases, offer them options that they could make changes to even make it better. And it's funny, a lot of times customers come and say, "I want a 1,200 watt, 200,000 lumen fixture."
Yeah,
And their mounting height's 50 feet. You really don't want that.
yeah, yeah,
And and if we can't convince them, we'll do the lighting plan with the fixture they want, but we'll also do an alternative lighting plan for them just to
right,
show, here's what we really think you need. And
right,
it's really up to them then.
yeah. So to wrap things up, what would be the one tip or hint you would give to project owners when choosing the right lighting system or the lighting product and the partner as well for their project?
Sure. Yeah, and again, we're not the only one that does it. So we take pride in what we do. We feel responsible to make sure they have the best light. We're going to recommend the right solution for their application, and we provide a very cost-effective, high-performance solution that we'll support for many years going forward. And we really look for those customers that have multiple fields too, because we want to have that success, so they'll consider us for the next one. We're going to earn their business, and that's really the secret to our success. We earn their business, and we're going to follow up. We're going to call you back, and even when there's an issue, we're going to call you back because we're going to solve that problem for you. And in a lot of cases, be to the best of our ability, and we're very transparent, and we're headquartered in New Hampshire. We service all over the USA, and we treat our customers the way they want to be treated, and they can count on that. And a lot of times, customers ask all these questions, and they're going to get the same treatment from all of our lighting specialists. All of our lighting specialists are well trained, and we have that management support behind them as that review the plans as they come through, so they can count on they're getting the best no matter who they talk to here.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Neil, for your time today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time and look forward to working with you in the future.
Say likewise, I hope our viewers also got some good insights regarding selecting their supplier for the next lighting projects that they're planning. So stay tuned, and we'll be posting more videos like this in the coming weeks and months. That's a wrap on this one. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our guests for sharing their expertise. If you're planning a sports facility project, everything you need to move forward is at sportsvenuecalculator.com. Start with our cost calculator to get a realistic estimate for your project. Browse the supplier directory to find and compare vetted companies for every part of the build. And check out our funding database to discover grants and financing options that can help make your project a reality. That's cost estimates, suppliers, and funding, all in one place at sportsvenuecalculator.com. We'll see you in the next one.